Getting serious in a relationship used to be so easy to understand because it meant getting married. But that's not necessarily true anymore. Getting serious with a guy can mean a lot of different things. So how do you know if a man who's into you is in it for the long haul? How do you know if your guy is worth getting serious with or if it's time to move on? Let's find out if your relationship is starting to head in that direction. Since getting serious doesn't always mean marriage, while you're watching the video, ask yourself, what does getting serious mean to me? And whatever it means, marriage, moving in, buying an RV to drive around the world, let me know your version in the comments. So let's check in with our fictional couple, Jack and Sally. At this point, they've been dating for a while and are thinking about moving in together, which is a serious next step. It's fall and the trees have started to change their colors, so our intrepid couple is on a nice hike to see some leaves, get some fresh air, and talk about the future. Sally starts the conversation by talking about work. She is currently a bank manager for her local branch, and while it's good, she'd like to start her own accounting firm in the next 5 to 10 years. It's something she thought a lot about, and she feels she'd enjoy it. Jack is listening and saying supportive things like, yeah, you'd be great at that, and asking follow-up questions like, would you need more classes or certifications to make that happen? Eventually, Sally turns it back on Jack and asks the inevitable question, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? Jack thinks about this for a bit. He really likes his job. It's pretty low stress, and he'd like to stay there because, if he's being honest, he's always seen himself as a stay-at-home dad. He dreams of taking care of the house and the kids with a part-time job or a low-stress job on the side. Jack explains all this to Sally and adds that he'd really like to be married in the next 5 to 10 years. The conversation goes back and forth for a while, and both come to the conclusion that while their goals are different, they are compatible since one wants to be at home raising kids and the other one wants a full-time career. They both agree that this works for us. Remember, the goal of a relationship isn't what the other person provides for you or what they can do for you. It's about how compatible your dreams and aspirations are. You don't have to be on the exact same page all the time, but you need to be in the same book and probably the same chapter. A man worth getting serious with is someone whose long-term goals align with yours. So now let's talk about what questions you need to ask if you're thinking about getting serious. First, does he say we? When it comes to serious relationships, you need a healthy dynamic that is we and me. At the end of our story, both Jack and Sally believe that while their goals are different, they do align. They are both thinking in a we mindset that includes the other person in the calculations of their future. They aren't thinking only of themselves, which would be a total me mindset. Relationships need a healthy balance of we versus me, but an important sign that you're getting more serious with a guy is that he uses we more often, because that shows that he's thinking of you as a committed couple together. If he says we, that's a great sign. I go into more detail on this mindset in another video, which is linked in the description below. Second, do our goals align? A man worth getting serious with is someone whose life goals align with yours. Notice, alignment isn't the same as matching. If Sally wants to be a businesswoman and Jack wants to be a stay-at-home dad, then those are very different goals that do in fact align because they work well together. If this is like you and your partner, then the important step is to actually discuss these goals and see how your puzzle pieces work well together, or see if they don't. You want a man who's into you and your goals and dreams. If a man loves you, he'll take the time to talk it out with you. If a man does this, then you'll have a better idea of how it will work with him in the future. Another example. My goal is to give you a great video, and your goal is to get great tips. If you think that's happening, then hit the thumbs up button. Third, does he value my weirdness? It's a fact of life. We are all incredibly weird. Whether it's weird science fiction books, horror movies, sex stuff, or crafty hobbies, we all have things we enjoy that are a little strange. They may not be things that we share with total strangers, but they will be things that a long-term partner should be okay with. If a man loves you for who you are, weirdness and all, then he's a keeper. If he encourages you to be who you want to be and engage in your weirdness and fun, that's a great sign to keep moving forward with him and to get more serious. Lastly, have we discussed what serious means to us? One of the best ways to make sure you're in a relationship that you want is to talk about it at every stage of the relationship. So if you see signs of seriousness coming, like moving in together, going on a family vacation together, or whatever serious looks like to you, make sure to talk about it together. Ask each other what getting serious looks like and what it means about the relationship. Ask what the expectations are for each other. Questions like, are we going to be exclusive or in an open relationship? Do we want to move in together or have sleepovers? Will we share expenses? What kind of family do you want to have, if any? Do you want a menagerie of pets and or houseplants? Will we combine our board game collections? These are all real questions that are very important to ask. A man who's into you will be willing to have the conversation, and by talking about it, we'll be able to create a relationship that works for both of you. When it comes to taking any relationship more seriously, there's one final thing I want you to keep in mind. Getting into a serious relationship is not something someone else can or should decide for you. It has to feel right to you. And if you aren't there yet or don't see your current relationship going further, that is 100% okay. For example, if Sally tells Jack that she never wants kids, which, to be clear, is totally fine, then that's a sign that Jack and Sally aren't compatible because they aren't on the same page and they don't want the same things in the future. If you find out that you don't want the same things as your guy, it's important to know and respect that. For example, Jack shouldn't be pushy and tell Sally, oh, you'll change your mind one day, or some other nonsense. If a man loves you, he will respect your opinions and your choices. If you're worried about how to stand your ground and say no if someone is pushy with you, then don't worry. I made a video for that, so click the link in the description below.